Hey guys, happy Thursday. I am working on getting the chat opened to where it actually pops up on the stream. As soon as I can get that going, it'll make things a lot easier. It will cooperate with me. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. Sweet. Alright, cool, it's working. Alright, are you able to hear me okay, Mike? I know you're in meetings, so. Five by five, sweet. Alright, so this flight's going to be pretty lengthy. It's about 49 minutes. So this is the airfield that I made it to so far. And this is the fourth leg of the trip. And this is actually a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than I thought it would be, especially being in a small aircraft. But it's got these like little, it kind of tells you what aircraft you're flying. This just kind of tells you about the trip overall. And then, so this is the airport that I'm at right now, and then this is the one that I'm going to. So once we get here and land, that'll be the end of this leg, and then we'll see how much time I've got. And I may go on to this next leg. It's 21 minutes, but Manzanar Airport to Madame Airport. So these are in northern, northwest Nevada. And so we're in, let's see, no, we're not even in Nevada here. We're still in California here. So we're, let me see if I can get my iPad to show up here. Maybe. That's probably not going to work. All right, so just to kind of give you guys an idea of where in the world we're looking. Go to Sky Vector here. There we go. All right, so here we've got Sky Vector. We're in California here, and this is where we're going to start out from, this little abandoned runway here, and then we're going to fly up north past Bishop, and then the airport is somewhere around here where we're actually going. So basically just going to follow this little highway through Bishop, and then ham pointers and things. That's weird. We give you guys some pointers if you're looking into doing some instrument rating or going to a Part 141 school. Some things that I learned, and anyways, it'll be kind of fun. So let's get this thing going. Yeah, so this is the actual entire flight. We're like right around here somewhere. So got a long way to go. I think it's going to start us like right. Oh, it actually gave us the little taxiway there. Alright, so this is where we're at now. And going up here to this waypoint. And then the next waypoints are all these other little places here. So for now, we got the long leg here up to 056. One thing that's kind of cool here is it kind of gives you like different waypoints to get to. So I'll just collapse all these. And as you take flight, pick back up Route 395, head north. The highway will lead you toward a small town, Independence. Alright, so once I get taken off, we'll go there. I'm going to do the external camera, just, I don't know, it's kind of fun. Not taking this super serious, but thanks to Bill for Lima Echo for getting me kind of back into bush flying. That was a lot of fun the other night. Jumped into his stream and started flying. It flaps up. All right. thought that was us over on the taxiway, but it definitely was not. Alright, so 395's over here to our left. Let's get some other camera angles here. I'll turn this down just a little bit so it's not overpowering. And we can start our clock. Alright, so we're coming up on Independence here. And then once we get there, use the road as your guide, continue north, find the telltale lava flows and cinder cones of the Big Pine volcanic field to the west. Then a bit further on, situated east of the highway, is the reservoir. So it's been, I don't know how long since I've done a live stream, or even since I posted anything really about flying on the Instagram or anything like that. But back in February of last year, I got my private pilot's license, and then actually 2 weeks ago, I became an instrument rated pilot. So I got my instrument rating through a Part 141 school, went back to college, I guess I should say, and went that route to get my instrument rating. It's something I've wanted for a long time, and just never really, didn't really know how I was going to be able to do it, but using the GI Bill, went back to school through Liberty University and got my instrument rating. So I don't really know how to structure this conversation, but if you're in the chat and you got questions, I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. But since February, I haven't flown at all. And so going back to school and immediately jumping into instrument was kind of a shock. You don't really think not flying from February to June isn't that long, but haven't even like touched the controls other than in my flight simulator. It definitely did show on my first couple of landings in training, and it was a lot of fun. Getting back in the cockpit was great. With a Part 141 school, one thing I noticed is there's a lot more structure, and not that because I did my private license, Part 61, but not that there's like a lot of, it's not that there wasn't structure, but it was a little different. The school was relatively small. Actually, it was really small. There's only 2 aircraft and 2 instructors mainly. Um, and I flew with one instructor the entire time, which looking back now, I kind of prefer. Some people will tell you, fly with as many different instructors as you can, and I definitely see the benefit of that. Um, Being able to see different perspectives and different points of view can be super helpful. Um, Especially in a Part 61 where um, you're kind of learning as you go. There's not really like a set syllabus that you have to learn things in like at certain times or what's called stage checks, and that's something that really I was kind of surprised with. And I probably should have done more research before I went to school. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I saw an opportunity and I kind of went for it. Um, and looking back now, I'm still glad that I went the route that I did because I probably wouldn't have my instrument rating now if I didn't. But um, the structured piece of that, um, I definitely wasn't ready to be thrown back into that kind of like scenario where like every time you fly, you're expected to be at a certain level, especially having not flown. And a lot of those guys that are in that Part 141 school, they go from one rating to the next. So guys that finish their private, um, if they're still in school, they go right into instrument the next day or the next week. So that's one thing that was a little different for me. Having such a break from the 1st of February to the 1st of June, it really didn't give me much of time to get back on my feet like as a pilot. So, um, I didn't have any currency really as far as like my takeoff and landings because it had been so long, and so I don't know. I would have liked to have had like one day where like I go and do some touch and goes and things like that, but also like that's just I don't want to say wasting money, but it's kind of wasting money at that point to go and do that. So, but I was once I actually got flying again, and my instructor like kind of let me fly for a little bit, just get the feel of the plane again. That was super helpful. Um, and at first we worked on like basic attitude instruments, so um, just just solely looking at the attitude indicator and the airspeed indicator and getting your scan down and understanding if you're in a dive or you're in a roll, what that looks like just flying off instruments. You had the foggles on and no reference to outside, and so um, that was kind of new. In your private training, you do some simulated instrument with the foggles, but nowhere near for the length of time that you do, obviously, in your instrument training. It wasn't until towards the end that I actually got to see my surroundings at the school that I went to. So um, overall, my experience was really good. It was definitely tough, and here's why. So you get different instructors, different. Well, let me back up. So at the Part 61 school that I did my private in, like I said, 2 instructors. The school that I went to, there was I would say probably over 25 instructors, maybe closer to 40. That may be too many, but there was a lot of instructors, and they were flying non-stop. So from the time they wake up at 6 a.m. until 12 midnight, they were able to fly. And for 6 days a week is what they were legally allowed to fly. So these instructors built hours really fast, and that's good because you get instructors who know the aircraft. They know what they're doing, and that was really cool. Just to like hear their different stories and kind of hear like where they are um, in their journey, like for aviation. A lot of them already had jobs waiting for them. They were just waiting for the hour requirement, so that was really cool. Um, and to kind of hear like the different avenues that they wanted to go. Me personally, I wanted to do either cargo or like fixed wing medevac or charter, Part 135 charter, which is like private jets, that kind of stuff. That's more where I want to go. I'm not really looking to go to the airlines, um, but anyways, so um, with having that many different instructors, um, you get a little bit of, well, this is how I do it, so do it this way. And then the next instructor you get, well, this is how I do it this way. And even in the ground school that we had to go through as a student, I felt like it was very like just touch on the topic and then keep going. If it wasn't for the college that I went through, also requiring a ground school, it would have been even more difficult. Luckily, I got access to the King's ground school, which is really good. That's what I used for my private pilot training. Was the King's school, and um, I don't know. It didn't really feel beneficial to me to have to sit through the ground school um, when the topics that they went over, they covered everything, but it was very like very basic level learning. And I knew going into the check ride at the end that it would be a lot more than just the basic level. So um, another thing that I was not prepared for was the stage checks. So I actually failed multiple times on the stage checks. And as a new pilot and someone who is um, still learning, we're all still learning as pilots. If you ever get to a place where you're not learning, you're wrong. So that's what I've been told multiple times. But um, as a new pilot and someone who's just getting thrown back in there, I progressed through the first stage pretty fast, especially I was having to travel to get to my flight school quite a ways, and so I could really only go on the weekends, and I was still making pretty good time. Um, and doing my first stage check, I didn't really know what to expect, and that's where that difference in instructors kind of comes into play. Um, what my flight instructors had told me to expect and all the things that I studied were completely different than the questions I was being asked. And not that they were wrong, it was questions about weather and questions about, um, pre-flighting, not the aircraft, but like, the PAVE checklist is one. It's pilot, aircraft, environment, and emotions, um, or external pressures. And they asked me those kind of questions, and I was able to answer them. But when we got into the weather and looking at charts and that kind of stuff, I wasn't there. And I can say that from like my own perspective. I was not where I should have been. And also, though, had I known that it was basically like a miniature check ride for each one of those. Instead of just going over the things that I'd learned for that stage. So that's something that really threw me off when it came to the stage checks. And I wasn't quite sure how to take that after I failed. I was obviously frustrated, and I went back to the books and started studying, and learned as much as I could about weather and about the regulations of flying, and went back for a stage 1 check and failed again. And where I failed this time was the actual instruments themselves. So I should have studied more on how the instruments work, like the insides of the instruments. And so if you're an instrument student or you're wanting to kind of get a little bit ahead on your instrument training, study that kind of stuff. Look at what's on the inside of an altimeter. What's on the inside of your airspeed indicator? How does the pitot system affect that? And although I knew what the pitot system was and how it affected the airspeed indicator and the static system and how it affected the other ones, I didn't really look into um, the more technical things of like how the aneroid capsule on the inside of the altimeter worked. So definitely some things that I learned there that benefited me after the fact. So sometimes failure is not necessarily a bad thing, and that's something that I learned through this whole process is, yeah, I failed, but it also made me a better pilot. So I was able to go back and actually study that stuff and spend more time. I spent nearly every day for about a week before the check ride um, studying that stuff, and I got to where I could recite it just by looking at it, just by looking at the name altimeter, and I could tell you everything about it. And that's kind of what it took to get past those stage checks. And so, you know, getting through the stage check, the stage one, went and flew. The flying was super simple. That's something that I've been practicing for a while, either in the sim or, obviously when we go fly, that's what we do the entire flight is practicing that stuff. So the stage one flight was pretty uneventful. Made my way through stage two, which was looking at approach plates and en route charts and how to fly approaches and all that stuff. That was pretty easy for me as well because I'd done it so much here in the sim and it was something that I was used to. But again, my stage two check, I failed not on the oral part but on the actual flying. And so that was something whenever I realized I failed, I was very frustrated again. Not because of the instructor or anything like that. Basically just myself. I got really nervous. And during the flight, which we had to tune into a VOR, and like my track going to the VOR was all over the place. I was, turning 20, 30 degrees trying to get back to a VOR track, and then once I would intercept it, I'd fly through it, of course, and then turn back 20, 30 degrees the opposite way. And so my track just looked like a squiggly line the whole time. And the approach we were doing was a VOR approach, which has a procedure turn outbound. You actually fly over the VOR, turn outbound, then do your procedure turn, and then come back towards the VOR. And I noticed that my track was all over the place, and I was focused on that. And then I was getting prepared to do my procedure turn, or the turn outbound on the VOR, and I got ahead of myself, and like a mile before the VOR, I turned. And so, of course, then the VOR had a full scale deflection away, and then it never came back because I was way off course. So the instructor, told me, like, unfortunately we're going to have to fail because of the full scale deflection on the VOR. So I was like, okay. So I discontinued the flight at that point. We just went back and landed. And I downloaded an app called Nav Pro, I think. And you can basically simulate an aircraft tuning to a VOR. I practiced that for a while, for about a week. Again, it was about a week until my next check ride. So did that, and then for the next flight, everything was super simple. Got up in the aircraft, went and flew, did a VOR approach, and then an RNAV missed approach, and then did another RNAV approach, and then did an ILS back to the flight school, and everything was without a hitch. So Definitely some lessons learned there. Stay behind or stay ahead of the aircraft. Don't get behind. That was kind of the big thing, and just stay calm. Don't get ahead of yourself. Just take a deep breath if you feel like you're overwhelmed, and that really did help. My instructor was really good on my check ride. He told me like, hey, just think about what you're doing now, what you got to do next, and try to stay one step ahead, at least one step ahead. If you can get 2 steps or 3 steps on your approach, then that's even better. But at least stay at least one step ahead. So um, that's been super helpful. And then made it past stage 2, got to stage 3, and that one you have to do some long cross countries, and so did that, filed IFR, got IFR clearance the whole way, and uneventful flight. It was perfect. The winds couldn't have been better. I got the 172 that I was training in trimmed out pretty darn well for the entire flight. Once we got up to our cruising altitude of 6,000 feet, I basically didn't even have to touch the yoke. So that made it super nice, especially for that long of a flight. And I thought we were actually going to get some actual instrument time, but it was kind of low level fog, and by the time we actually reached it, it started dissipating. So because daytime heating and all that stuff. So it was actually really good. It was a good flight, and then came back, got ready for my check ride. Did my stage 3 check, and it went really well, no issues. I almost forgot to load in the RNAV approach because my instructor gave me direct to a waypoint, which is actually the initial approach fix for the RNAV. And once I got there, I forgot to load in the approach, and so I did that real quick, got it in there, and then he cleared me for the approach, but he was like, hey, make sure that you're loading your approach. You had plenty of time to do that. And so we talked about it, and I talked about it and told him I knew what I did wrong, and explained to him, that I know I should load the approach always. And so everything else after that was great. He knew it was just a mental thing. There was a lot of aircraft that were flying near us, and so we were both kind of task saturated at that point. So it was a good lesson for sure. And then the next day I did my actual instrument check ride and with a DPE, and that was excellent. I had a couple of GPS holds, and my GPS hold could not have been better. It looked like an actual racetrack hold. So, and he even made comment of that. He was like, "Hey, your holds were pretty darn good." So that made me feel good, especially after everything with the other check rides and stuff. Being told that was a huge help. So, all right, we're coming up to Bishop here, and it kind of sets in this little valley here. You got Bishop Airport out there. You can see that, but just cruising along here. Let's see what our nav log says we should be. Alright, so Mule, capital of the world. It's kind of funny. Alright. So we're going to see the split here. 395 actually goes that way. We're going to take Highway 6 and follow it up. So this is where we're at, Chalfant Valley. As it passes through Bishop, Highway 395 splits off towards the west, but you'll want to keep your heading and pick up US Route 6. Outside the city limits, Route 6 will briefly bend east, only to then turn north again, aiming at the town of Chalfant. I'm probably butchering that. At the foot of the White Mountain Wilderness area. So we'll just follow this. and then I'll follow it back up north and head up that way. So where was I? Um, oh yeah, my actual instrument check ride. Um, actual check. Let's see. Yeah, so did the actual check ride, and super simple. Went and did the RNAV approaches, like I said, did the holds, and then did flew to minimums, did a practice circling approach, and then we did an ILS back circling approach because the winds were actually coming the opposite direction, and basically not eventful. Super glad that I got all that out of the way, that's for sure. Um, and yeah, Mike, it definitely was a process, dude. Um, you kind of heard a little bit of it as I went along, um, and some of my frustrations, but um, overall, I'm so glad that I have that under my belt now. I actually got my temporary cert yesterday, which is a year and 1 day after I got my student pilot certificate. So that's kind of cool. I'm gonna get both of those laminated and put into like a little shadow box and hang in my office here. Um, it's something I've looked forward to for a long time, and to have both of those under my belt in a year, I'm real excited about. And my plan going forward is eventually I want to get my commercial, obviously. I've got just under 100 hours. I'm sitting at like 95 hours right now of total time. And so the plan is to just keep building hours, get my commercial, my multi-engine, and then eventually my CFI. But at least with my commercial, I can try to start maybe finding a job somewhere. Like there's a couple little operations that are around here that might could get on the side doing some stuff. So that's kind of my plan. But me and the wife have already been talking about planning some trips, and now that I've got my instrument rating, we don't have to wait for a perfect day. I kind of want to wait until I get some actual IMC time, maybe with an instructor, or go up with an instructor, just so that I have someone there to back me up, because I don't have any actual IFR time. So that's something that I'm really interested in doing. But I at least feel comfortable enough to fly the approaches and all that stuff. Obviously, I'm an instrument rated pilot, so I should feel comfortable enough doing them. But I definitely want to keep my currency. I have access to a Redbird sim, which is FAA approved, and I plan on keeping up my currency with that. I'm going to dive down here and just get down close to the road. But at least maintain my currencies, and then also do some actual instrument approaches. That way I don't just do everything in the sim, and I can maintain some of that that feel of the aircraft during an approach. I've got a couple of friends. One of the guys that I'm friends with, he just got his instrument rating too. So we kind of plan on doing the whole safety pilot while he's flying, and then he'll do the safety pilot while I'm flying. That kind of stuff. So that's the plans, at least. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, and if money wasn't an option, I would have definitely just chose the Part 61 school. Simply because I knew the instructor already, and I liked the way that he taught, and it just felt like it made aviation a lot of fun doing it that way. With the Part 141 school, I kind of was on edge a lot because there were so many regulations and which isn't a bad thing. I don't want to make that sound like it's bad to have standards and procedures and that kind of stuff. It definitely is. It's definitely a good thing to have those. Um, but one thing you have to be careful of is, there was a 2,200 page flight operations manual that they expected you to know. Like you're a student, you should know what the FOM says. And so that was something that was reiterated a lot. And let's see here. I think we're coming up. Yeah, I think we're coming up to this Falls Creek Lake. I think that's it right up there. Um, but it's definitely a lot more structured. So that's just something to be more prepared. That I could have probably prepared more for going into a Part 141 school is just knowing that, hey, you're going to have to be more polished, and they're going to be expecting you to know the aircraft inside and out. I got to ask all kinds of questions. What kind of ailerons do we have? What kind of flaps do we have in a 172? What why is the fuel tank vent located where it is? Things that I had never really thought about are questions that I was asked on some check rides, and so on some of those stage checks. So, you know, being a little bit more prepared, which, I mean, I don't know how I would have known that kind of stuff until I got there. I'm one of those people that like to know everything before I get there. Um, and so, well, that's kind of cool, a little river uh, track there. Um, but that's some of the stuff that I like to know beforehand, before I get into things like that, or questions like, what are the things they're going to ask me? What are things I should know already? So that way I'm more prepared, but sometimes you're just not going to have that. Um, the biggest difference between a Part 141 and a 61 that I've noticed, that is an obvious thing, is the time that it takes to get one of those ratings. For my instrument rating, it took me 35 hours. I think I finished in 37, and that's only because I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough hours, and so I spent a little bit more time in the sim, and so I got my instrument rating in 37 hours. Um, could have gotten it in 35 easily, but um, yeah, I actually spent a little extra money going to the sim, which is no big deal. More flying is never a bad thing, but um, at a Part 61 school, um, it would have taken me a long time to get my instrument rating. So a lot longer, that's for sure, just because of the time requirements and that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Instrument flying is definitely a different beast. um, but it all kind of makes sense, especially if you've been like flying in a flight simulator. Instrument kind of comes naturally, I feel like, especially if you've spent a lot of time in a sim. Um, Flying in X-Plane, flying in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, even DCS, like flying the A10 in DCS was a huge help, because it has that TACAN and the ILS in it. And in the A10, that's what I flew a lot, is flying ILS approaches back into Kataisi or even Nellis, all those places. So um, there's definitely a huge benefit of having a flight simulator. Definitely. All right, so we're not quite to Benton yet. past that. It's kind of weird, these buildings that are out here. Act like we're crop dusting. See if we can't split these buildings here. Oof. I didn't want to hit them. We are coming up on Hammond though, or Hamill. Little bitty town. Alright, so we're about 15 miles away from the actual airport that we're landing. Looks like a little strip over there almost. I think that's the lake. Yeah, that's it. Well, this is a trip. This rising terrain here, rising terrain here. Looks like I need to be about 6,000 feet here, so may climb up just a little bit. It is kind of nice to be done with all the school though and everything. I'm taking this next semester off just because I've got some stuff going on at work that really needs my attention right now. So, and then also like just home life. Anytime you're going back to school, and especially I was gone every weekend to fly, and so that puts some strain, not on our relationship, but just um, anytime you're away from home, that's never easy. So taking the next semester off just to spend time at home and spend time with the wifey, and um, maybe do some more more flying on here, um, doing some DCS, and yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping to actually go flying soon. Me and my wife talked about doing that, and she's gonna get some cool pictures and some video, and then I'm gonna have my GoPro set up so we can get some video and audio. Um, and I'll probably be posting that on my actual YouTube, on my personal YouTube. Not so much here. I kind of want to keep my like flight sim stuff on this channel, and so I'll put in the description a link to my actual YouTube channel um, in the description of this video afterwards, after the live stream, and then that way, if you guys want to follow along um, or watch my videos of actual aviation, um, my in real life flying, you can do it on there. Alright, so we're coming up to Benton, and then just to the north, kind of around this bend over here to the right, is where our airport will be. And sorry if you guys can hear my fan. It's a little hot in the office, especially being around 3 and 4 o'clock right now. So, alright, so we're in the town of Benton here. And let's see. Outside of Benton, Route 6 bends to the northeast, pointing you directly toward the Desert Peak Mountain. Mount Montgomery. At the borderline between California and Nevada, once you've crossed over, look for the remains of an old ranch on the west side of the road. Locals called the dirt runway beside it Madam Airport. It's the next stop on your route toward High Sierra. Kind of runs north and south, I believe. Let's see how we're on time. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Pretty accurate. Might fly over the airport once just to get a look at what I'm actually landing on. What is this road? That's cool. Alright, let's get back in the cockpit here. I don't have my track IR on. But we're going to follow Route 6 up. And then it'll be on our left hand side. I think I actually see it out there. It's like right out here. think that's the strip right there. You guys may not be able to see it, but I'll follow the highway and it'll be on our left side. Don't know what that was. Hope it wasn't a bird. Hey Charlie. My dog just came to see me. What's up, buddy? Yeah, that's the airport up there. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's honestly crazy, dude. The like level of detail. And I can show you here. Let's see here. I'm getting 60-ish frames. Where this is a lot different from DCS. Like, and I don't even have my settings all the way up. I've got them pretty well. I'll say that I may have them up higher. Once I land, I'll take another look at it. But um, I don't think I have everything turned up either. So um, it's really cool. It's if DCS looked like this, oh, it would be a game changer. How much storage did you say your new computer has? Because that's one of the things. Like this is all Google Earth imagery, but it's like a rolling cache. So like as you're flying, it's loading in the next scenery that you can't see. Yeah, that's the airport there. Winds are coming from the south, so I'm gonna circle around. I don't think they have a windsock there. I doubt it. Actually, I'm just gonna cut over midfield, come back in and land. That's what I'll do. Winds are coming from the south. Just gonna go engine out here. Sweet. I was 50 seconds late. Not bad though. That's on their one. They're on their own DCS. Nice, dude. Yeah, that's kind of how I am too. I think. Let me see real quick. I gotta make sure. Yeah, so I did. So stupid. I did a 2 terabyte. So basically, I have 4 terabytes of hard drive or of SSD. I have two SSDs, 2 terabyte each, And then so DCS and my operating system, and now all my school stuff and everything like that's on my primary, and then my secondary has all my Steam stuff and like flight sim whatever. But yeah, DCS is all on its own, also. So that's kind of cool. Um, that's funny. It says this plane. That's not what we did it in. All right, so we got one down. DCS definitely gets special treatment, dude. Always. Turn this fan off for a minute. All right. Let's see, how long have we been going on the stream? A little over an hour. That's not bad. Oh, I was gonna show you this. I don't know if I can see it in the. Oh yeah. This is the plane I was telling you about. It's actually pretty sweet. Um, it's got a couple different like liveries and stuff. You can Coast Guard. The black one is really cool. Let's see here. And then this is the one I just flew. I wish I could pick different livery for it. That one's kind of neat. You got float planes. You got the Wright brothers, Wright Flyer, ski planes, private jets. I have the deluxe version. This doesn't work, I don't think, because it was before they actually added helicopters. It may work. I don't know. I haven't updated it, but let's see here. Got a PC-21. These are fun. These kit foxes for like backcountry stuff. I got the waterplane A5. More helicopters. Oh, this is something I want to look at. So I bought some liveries for this thing. TBM. A lot of fun to fly. It was. Yeah, the Spruce Goose, man. Let me go back. Where's that? There it is. Oh wait, no. Maybe it's not. They are adding it though. If that's not it, they are adding it. F-18. Then of course all the L-39. I don't think that's the Spruce Goose. That's so ridiculous. they've got they've got avionics and stuff in it. You can hide the avionics using clipboard on your. Oh, it's got autopilot too. Oh, that's neat. Okay. Wow. Oh man. Can you imagine flying something like this? Holy crap. Oh gee. Yeah, you definitely need at least two people. At least two people. monitor. That's insane. There's a Grumman goose. This little thing. They use these things for firefighting. Pretty sure. Kind of cool. If it's not this, it looks extremely close to that. But DC3 gliders, little cub crafters cub. These are some that I bought here. That one's a fun little plane to fly. The Skymaster. But yeah. Go look. So we made it. Made it here. And so now we gotta go here. It's a short flight, 21 minutes. So Mina. Looking on for flight real quick to see. But yeah. It's 31 miles. That's not bad. Trying to decide if I want to do this flight or if I want to do something else. Mike, what do you think? Should I continue on? Let's see here. Trying to pull up this. There's a map that shows this bush flight or this bush trip thing. Shows like the whole route. So I'm trying to pull that up. Okay. So here we go. All right. So where we just landed. I can see my mouse. So we just landed here. And then the next flight is this one here. And we'll bounce. That won't be too bad. Yeah, dude, that's totally cool. I think I am just gonna continue on. And I'm on. I guess for bush trips you can't be online. That stinks. We're gonna make this little curve here. Like, and head northeast along Nevada's Route 6 towards through Montgomery Pass. Continue. This one might actually get a little challenging. And all right, cool. A little squirrely. Gonna stay in ground effect for a little bit. Build up some airspeed. Start building some altitude now too. Yeah, I gotta start my timer. Really gotta start climbing if I want to make it through this pass. See what our altitudes here are. 7,000. 8,000 to get above the mountains there. I'll level off here because we're good on terrain. Try to gain some airspeed again. And after this, I think it goes back down. Definitely would not want to lose an engine through here. Alright, so we're coming up on Basalt, and then we'll take Highway 360, which goes north. This will split off here in just a minute. Is that railroad tracks down there? No. There's lots of trails. It's kind of cool. Alright, so I think... No, that's not it. There it is up there. Take this highway. A little shortcut in. Sweet. Welcome back, Mike. The good news is on this trip, now there's only one more that's a long one, but we've got a few legs before then, so I don't know why this is so much fun, but it is. Especially like if you had another person, like you're flying in formation. Relaxing scene, yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying, man. Like I don't know why this is so much fun, or why it's so relaxing, but it is. Like maybe just because it's slower paced, and you're not like trying to focus on too much, you're just following a road, making sure your altitude's good, making sure your speed's good. Like I don't know, it's definitely different, but it's a good different. If that makes sense. Looking at, I've got ForeFlight open here, um, and it looks like this like salt flat you can kind of see out here. Looks like that's going to be where I turn north and go to the airport. The airport should be like right over here somewhere on the other side of this mountain. Yep, so we passed this junction, head northeast at Route 360. and twist through the hills of Mineral County in Nevada. After you pass an impressive Moho Mountain, watch for another upcoming junction. Your path intersects Veterans Memorial Highway 95 near the dried up road salt marsh. Well, Mike, I didn't want to say that, okay? I didn't want to say that I don't want to get shot at, because that's nearly what happens to me every time. So I do have to tell you a funny story, Mike. So the other day, uh, loaded up DCS, and I was like, yeah, I just want to kind of mess around. So I put some SA3s out there, some SA6s. It was in Syria, just kind of messing around, and I used a template, um, and then I left because I had to go to the store. Came back. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get back on, and um, so then I loaded up. I came back, was able to get on, and loaded up DCS. I was like, I'm gonna go test that mission, and loaded up the template instead of the one that I created. It took off in the A10, and I'm flying around, and I'm like, man, I'm not getting any indications of these SAM systems. And I was flying kind of low, like I was flying, I don't know what altitude I was at, but I was just flying, trying to see if I could see them. Not getting any indications, and I put them at the Palmyra Air Base, and I was getting close. No indications, no indications, no indications, and I'm like, man, what in the world? I'm looking around all over the airbase where I thought they were, and I saw some vehicles, and I'm like, oh, yep, that's them. So I'm like trying to lock them up, and I'm like, there's nothing shooting at me. I've been flying for maybe 45 minutes and trying to find these SAM systems, and then it dawned on me as I was looking at the F10 map what mission I was actually on. Was was it the F10 map? I don't remember, but then it dawned on me what mission I was on, and I'd load up the template, so there was no SAM systems on there at all. I felt like an idiot. I was like, well, there just shows you how long it's been since I've actually flown in DCS and how unfocused I am. I probably should put a trigger at the beginning of that mission and be like, have it pop up. This is the template. This is the template. Going back to your comment above though about flying around all the places uh, that you've lived, dude. That's like one of the. Oh, I think it was trying to load the next scenery, but um, that's like one of the coolest things. Like I fly around my mom and dad's house here all the time, and it looks just like their house. Like the way the buildings are oriented, and even my dad's shop out back. It's really cool. Um, but yeah, definitely got to knock the rust off DCS. Um, yeah, definitely got to do that. I'll have to send you a picture. I got my iPad mount for the desk, and I can use it. It's actually a yoke mount, but it's universal. It's just kind of like a C-clamp almost, like a clamp claw looking thing. And so, um, yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna keep following Highway 360 here, coming up to Belleville. Doesn't look like much of a town. I thought, hang on a second. I don't know, I thought you could turn all that stuff off, but maybe not. This almost looks like some parts of the Persian Gulf map. Which really we're not that far away from where the Nevada map stops. Because we're coming up on Tonopah. And Mina is actually on the Nevada map. It's like on the far northeast corner, or northwest corner, I believe. This is Tonopah Junction here, coming up on. And after this one, I'm going to get off here. Getting pretty close though. About 6 minutes away. Okay, so now we just follow 95 north. And the airport's up here about 7 miles. That's an old mine out there, it looks like. Okay, and so that's the strip there. That's it right there. If we can just float this thing in. May have started too early. Did. Ooh, talk about negative G's. I don't know why I stopped saying all that. Alright, well, I guess that's all for me, guys. Um, maybe next time I stream, we'll pick up from Mina, and we'll just keep doing these. I know I missed the first, like, what, 3 legs. 20% done. Yeah, I missed. Yeah, the first 3, but they're kind of not eventful. I mean, they're all kind of not eventful. Next one's gonna be real short. Line 2. Oh, Hawthorne. Cool. Cool. Looking at it on 4Flight real quick. But what is it? K. Oh, it's just right around the corner there. You're looking on 4Flight's K, or on SkyVector or whatever, it's KHTH. We'll probably just follow this Highway 95 all the way around to land. Pretty neat. Alright, well, like I said, that's going to do it for me, guys. And thanks for watching. Mike, it was good seeing you, dude. We'll talk later. Maybe we can get some flights in this weekend or something. But anyways, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you guys later.